Welcome back to the channel. This is Dan with Green Machine Outdoors. In today's video, we're going to show you our 5 favorite ways to cut gizzard shad in the wintertime so you can catch yourself some big old catfish. So don't go anywhere. When the seasons change, the water gets colder and the fish stop moving around as much, sometimes changing the way you cut your bait can make all the difference. We're going to show you our 5 favorite ways that we like to cut bait in the winter. Certainly it's not the only way you can cut bait, and if you have a way that you prefer, tell us about it down in the comments section. But without further ado, here we go. Number 1. Alright, so I'll show you how to cut up one of these medium-sized ones. That's what it's like compared to a big one. With this, I would go in about thirds, so about there, about here, and then you can still get a tail chunk. So a good head section, a good body section. Then it's up to you whether you use that or not. Some people don't like to, but if it's a good fresh bait, it's worth throwing out there as far as I'm concerned. This is a little bit bigger size gizzard shad. Some people like to scale them. In the winter time I like to, just because the hot water is not going to draw the blood out of your baits as easily. I just use the back side of my knife like that. Get rid of the scales. You're not going to stick a hook in that, or when you stick your hook through rather, a scale's not going to come off as easily, and it's a lot easier entry point as well. So after you scale it, you want to decide how big of chunks you want to cut it up into, and keep in mind your seasons. So in the summertime you might go with a little bit bigger chunks, in the winter you might go a little bit smaller, or maybe you just throw big baits all the time. It's kind of up to you and what your body of water is like. You just got to play around with it. So I'm gonna get a nice big head piece here. If I were gonna go big body sections, I'd come up right behind this fin and get a chunk there, and then a spot back in here, and probably get about 1, 2, 3 big baits out of that. It is winter time, so I'm gonna get as many as I can out of this. I'm gonna chop off the tail section, get rid of that. And then I'm probably going to get about 3 or 4 baits out of just this chunk alone right here. So a little bit smaller. If they're just looking for a quick little meal, that'll be easier for them. That's a little bit on the larger side, and I'll probably split this one up in half just so I have a little bit of everything. There's a big bait out there and a couple small, a couple medium. So you can get about 5 baits out of that right there. Here we've got a somewhat large gizzard shad, and if you want to get some shorter chunks out of it, you can do the Adam Cook method. If you haven't seen his channel, check it out. I'll link it down below. Nautical Pride Sport Fishing. He's got some really good content. Cut the backbone out. You can toss that. Then your chunks are a lot shorter, so you can get a good head piece out of it. You can see that's already starting to bleed a little bit. And then you can get some smaller pieces here that are a little bit more manageable, especially in the winter time. And the good thing is you still get that gut pocket and something good to hook into. So we got about 4 good baits out of that. Okay, so on a medium-sized gizzard shad like this, I like to do something called the flapper. You come in about halfway down, and really, depending on how big you want the bait, if you want to throw this whole thing out there, you could just fillet up the entire side, but you don't want to detach up here. For me, it's in the winter. I'm just going to make a little bit of a flapper and save that tail section. So I'm going to come in here and fillet up the side and just leave that to flap like that. Turn it around, do the same thing on the other side. Careful you don't cut yourself. And then I'll take this middle section right here with the guts and the spine and everything, just kind of chop that off, so you can get 2 really good baits out of this. This is kind of like a go big or go home bait in the winter. You could really do this with any size gizzard shad, but in the winter that's about all I'm going to do with it. You can see that's just going to sit there and flap down there. I've got a lot of current going on, so that's going to be a great bait. Okay, here's a method I like to do when I'm dragging baits. Okay, I'll come in as if I'm gonna make a head section, and then I'll turn and just get a nice fillet. Try and get all this meat off the fish. got a nice fillet. If you want to, you can save this for chunks, or you can flip it over and get another fillet out of it. So we got two nice fillets there, and the nice part is you still get a head butt section. Okay, so today we're not really going to use this, we're just going to toss that. And now with your fillets, you can do a number of different things. You can throw them out that big. The reason I like these fillets is you hook them up top here, and then it just kind of flaps around behind the boat as you're dragging through the water, so they think it's a fish. Sometimes I'll take off just that tail section to make a little bit smaller bait that still does the same thing. You can even take this one and split it. And then you can get 6 good fillets out of there for dragging. I like a little bit smaller fillet because you'll notice if you drag a lot of smaller fish just come up and bite the tail end and they never get the hook, so you're constantly getting pestered by them. So a little bit smaller, you could even, I've had big fish bite them even this small before. Just drag them behind, they'll still wiggle a little. That reflective scaling helps a lot, and you still get some good scent there. But those are going to wash out pretty quick, so you want to have a lot of them and change them out frequently. Well, we hope you learned something in that short video today that you can put to use to help you catch a big old goober for yourself. Give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to check out our channel and our playlist to see what other videos you might like, and consider subscribing to that channel. We're going to catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.